thrilled to take you to Australia here on America Tonight with me, Kate Delaney, for a conversation with Kaz Piper, who's in our virtual green room. This book will blow you away because it's one drama after another. It takes you back in time. It takes you back to an era that people are talking about a lot now, things that they don't remember, or younger people who want to know more about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So the name of the book is called Those Little White Lines. Kaz, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Very privileged.
So this book, how did it come about? What made you decide you were going to write a novel?
Well, it was basically friends and family that used to say, my God, Kaz, you need to write a book, you need to write a novel and get it out there. The story is amazing. And they were all familiar with the whole process of the story. So, yeah, that gave me a little bit of inspiration, but it was a lot of closure as well for me.
So Bridget, your main character, is just a gorgeous Australian blonde, and she meets up with a guy named Jose. And then what happens from there? We're not going to tell everybody everything, but the adventures are definitely deep. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Okay. Well, Jose, he was a member of a famous rock band that was touring Australia at the time. And I was at a nightclub at this particular time, and he approached me, my girlfriend, and decided he wanted to sit down and buy us drinks. And anyhow, I had I noticed that he was an American, and I said, "Oh yeah, so whereabouts you from?" He said, "California." I went, "Oh, that's good." And I said, "So what are you doing here?" And he said, "Well, we're here on tour." And I said, "Oh yeah, who are you touring with?" And he told me, the Hypnotics. And I went, "Oh my God!" Donna and I, my girlfriend at the time, was with me. We just wanted to go to the concert, but there was no tickets left, so we couldn't go. And he said, "Well, would you like to come?" And I said, "Well, yeah, absolutely." So hence that was the meeting with Jose, and then went to the concert, and that was epic. And he did address me at the concert, which was really nice. Had the spotlight there, and it was like a little bit surreal and a bit nerve-wracking. And then he decides to, we spend a fair bit of time in Sydney. Then we took a train up to Brisbane, but they wanted to do the train because they wanted to see a lot of the outback of Australia, the kangaroos, the koala bears, and, the emus and all that. But yeah, so we ended up in Brisbane. They did a tour, a concert there, and then we flew back and spent some time together. And then he decided that he wanted to take me to California, and hence I had trouble getting a visa at the time. So yeah, he came up with another plan. So the plan was within those little white lines, and that's how the story starts.
Wow. So anything that he could do to get you to America, basically, and we'll let people hear the rest of that story. Was it fine? Was it, I guess not fine, but was it really fun? It's more than fine. Was it fun to tell the story?
Yes, it was at the time. It's even better now that it's all, it's like been 36 years ago now. So I've sort of had my closure, and look, it was the most amazing time. I was in awe. I really didn't think of where I was heading at the time with him and where it was going until that time when we met I had to change my ticket to Vancouver. And I remember him waking me up early in the morning and saying, "Kaz, we've got to go." And it's like, "Well, where are we going?" He said, "We've got to go and catch this plane." So he had a plane lined up. That we drove out, I think it was 40 minutes from Vancouver, and in a grassy paddock, and we were waiting for this plane. It was like, and then I had second thoughts thinking, "Oh my God, what am I doing? What is going on?" And then suddenly I was in Seattle.
In Seattle, and then the
white
adventure.
lines, I tell you what, they do a bit of damage to your brain, fizzle out your brain.
Thing, the adventure takes off, and you talk about that. And again, the book is aptly named Those Little White Lines. What was
They're actually quite big.
Yeah, quite big. What was it? What it makes me think of Miami Vice and everything that was happening in the 80s. What was it like to live through all that? I mean, gosh, these adventures.
Mm. It was, what could you say? It was exciting, but then it was also very, what could I say? It's just so surreal. It was like the people that I had met on tour when we went on tour, and just being there, it was just so epic. I don't know what words to describe that, but it was a very beautiful time for me, as well as a not so beautiful time for me. But yeah,
It
it's
was the
all.
yin and yang, and that's what your book is like. You talk about that. I mean, listen, your sister was in a band. You like music. I mean, what a an easy thing to kind of get reeled into, right?
Absolutely, yeah. No, we loved our bands. We used to go and see the bands that would play just about every night of the week. We had parents that would, were quite accommodating in that way. And we also had a lot of international bands that would come to Sydney, and we would take the train up there and, see them, and then they'd come down to the Gong. And so, yeah, it was all very. My younger brother plays guitar as well and writes songs, and his story is interesting too, but that's in the next book if it ever gets there, which I'm
I
sure.
like it. That's a tease for the upcoming book. So, what do you hope people take away from reading those little white lines, which you can get on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or wherever great books are sold?
Yeah. Um, just just be aware of the situations that you're in, or if something seems too good to be true, it usually is. And just take care, and also make sure that you tell your friend or your family where you're actually going if you are on an adventure, like I was with my little white lines. So yeah, it's just be careful, I would say.
Yeah, your family was close. Were they worried about you, do you think?
Yeah, very much so, especially my father. He was I did call them from Canada and say, because they thought I was going to Los Angeles, and yeah, and they was like, if anything happens to you, you tell me, I'll come over and, I'll fix that guy up for you and all. So, but when I end up telling them about 6 months into living in Los Angeles, and they weren't really happy, and they were a bit disappointed that I didn't tell them actually where I was going. No one really knew where I was. They thought I was in America, which I was in America, but they didn't know the mechanics behind it all. So yeah, but they were fine with it at the end of the day. I got home safe, and yeah, and the experience was just wild. So just be careful, guys out there. As I said, if anything's too good to be true, it usually is.
Oh boy, and that is a good warning. I'd be remiss not to ask you this. I talk about brushes with fame, as I've had a few of my own, and so have many people listening to this show. I mean, it's something that happens depending on what you do for a living or where you are. And you were again involved in the music industry essentially because of being around rock and roll and all of that. Who was the most interesting person you met? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do actually. And at the time he was traveling, he was doing a tour in Australia as well, and that was the boss, the Bruce Springsteen. He actually, when I was introduced to him by Jose, he went to shake my hand and he kissed it, and then I thought, oh my God. There's no way I'm going to wash this hand ever. And of course, Jose wasn't appreciative of it. So he sort of just introduced me and then sort of, come on, let's go. Because he had, he was there at the concert, and he was touring next after, the Hypnotics were going back to the States. So, and, Tom Petty, I had the pleasure of meeting him. Joe Walsh from the Eagles. They're people that I can actually mention because they're not in the book.
Nice.
I've had to, as the old saying goes, what happens on the road stays on the road.
Right.
And what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So I did spend a lot of time in Vegas as well, because Jose was a big gambler. We used to play the blackjack, and so we used to visit Vegas just about every weekend, or every second weekend. And yeah, so hey, it was a very interesting time.
No kidding. Well, I love that. I love those brushes with fame. And like you said, you can't tell those secrets, and you didn't. You protect the innocent or the guilty because you definitely didn't name names. So those little white lines, Kaz Piper, thanks a lot. Pick up the book. You'll love it. Thanks for joining us. And thanks to all of you for listening to this version of the show. Make it count, everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And if you guys out there could go to www.kazpiper.com. It is on audio, and also my Facebook and Instagram. Much appreciated, Kate. You take care, and hope to talk to you soon.
Visit www.greatwritersmedia.com. Email us at info@greatwritersmedia.com. Call us at 877-600-5469. Subscribe now.